Yes, Jennifer, the passenger, doctors are caring for him here inside of Mercy. The medical examiner just this morning released the name of that driver who was killed. He is 37-year-old Edward Stiefel of Pittsburgh. This accident happened around 10 o'clock last night on West Liberty Avenue. Here's a look at the scene. Witnesses report seeing the SUV speeding, then lost control, hit a pole, and flipped on its roof. One woman who saw it all ran to Edward Stiefel and tried to save him, but it was too late.
And I seen smoke coming from the car, and then this other girl got out of her car and we both ran over and we tried CPR on the guy that was laying on the ground, and he was already gone. There wasn't any saving him.
And that witness then ran to a nearby business to grab a fire extinguisher to help put the fire out. Detectives are working today to try to determine the cause of that fire. Outside of Mercy Hospital, Shelby Zarotny, Channel 11 News.
There were a number of people who were affected by the fire because it started in one house and then spread to a second. 3 of the people who were inside one of those houses had to be taken to hospitals for treatment. Now here's a look at some of the video from the fire scene and some of what firefighters had to deal with when they got on scene. The fire started a little before 1 this morning in a home on North Pittsburgh Street in Connellsville. Then it spread to a second home. 3 people in the home where the fire first started were hurt. 2 of them were taken to a hospital in Connellsville and a third brought here to UPMC Mercy. People who were in the second home were able to get out of the home safely. Listen as the fire chief and a witness talk about what they saw at the scene.
The house on the corner was so well involved, it was in the walls. We already had a partial floor collapse on the second floor of the house of origin. So it made getting to the second floor, getting to the attic, very difficult for the guys.
On the side of the house it caught on fire. It wasn't that big, but then it got bigger as it came up to the ceiling. And so we called the ambulance and the fire trucks to come help.
The fire marshal is investigating the cause of the fire. We learned that a dog did die in the fire. At UPMC Mercy, I'm Brittany McGraw reporting for PCNC.
What you choking him out for?
This cell phone video shows a Pittsburgh police officer using a headlock on a handcuffed Deshaun Jennings and taking him to the ground. His father believes police used excessive force.
Well, they didn't throw him against the car, start choking him and handcuffed him. And after he handcuffed him, start choking him some more, sleeper hold him, put him out.
But police say they witnessed another man hand Jennings something. When they approached Jennings, he refused to give them identification and attempted to leave, even shoving an officer with his arm. Police found a small amount of marijuana in Jennings' pocket and an open alcoholic beverage in his car. They charged him with aggravated assault, resisting arrest, underage drinking, and possession of marijuana. But witnesses dispute the police account.
And the police officer was like, don't be flinching at me. And he didn't flinch. He didn't do nothing.
The assault, that's just a bogus charge they bringing up because they come around here every day harassing, saying stuff to us. It's just a chumped up charge to cover their butt. So other than that, it's all bogus.
Shaler police have 1 man in custody after hours of police and SWAT team activity. Now, their focus was getting into the home in the 400 block of Lexington Court, the second one from the left in the video that we're showing you. And when we arrived on scene, 2 SWAT teams were heavily armed and multiple police departments were here. Now, they kept our crews at bay about a block away for safety and at first kept their lights down and asked us to keep ours off as well. Those teams were looking at street level video in order to zero in on their target. Around 5:20 this morning, officers went in. They announced who they were. They actually had to break a first floor window to get in, and then some of the officers climbed a ladder to get to the second floor, pulled out an air conditioning unit, in fact, and went inside. It grew quiet for a few moments, and then after a while, we watched as police brought out 1 man in handcuffs, shirtless, and then moments later, they took him back into the house. They were in there for about 15 or 20 minutes, officers with this man who was in custody, and finally they brought him back out a second time and put him into a Shaler Township police cruiser. Now, I'm working to find out the name, the identity of this man, and any charges that he may face. Reporting in Shaler Township, Shelby Zarotny, Channel 11 News.
This is the pot that caused all the injuries. Frank Gato's mother-in-law was heating up grease on the stove when it caught on fire.
I don't know exactly how it caught on fire. As I came down, it was already on fire.
Gato burned his hands and face trying to put the fire out. When he couldn't put it out, he tried to get the burning pot out of the house through the back door. That's when things got worse.
And I tried to get it out the house, but I tripped and it fell onto my wife and her legs got burnt.
His wife was taken to Mercy Hospital with possible second-degree burns on her legs. There were several children in the house, but fortunately, no one else was injured. According to a firefighter's website, kitchen fires are the most common type of house fire. The main cause? Grease fires. So I asked the arson detective on scene what's the best way to fight a grease fire.
If you can shut the stove off and call 911. If you've got baking soda, put baking soda on it. Don't throw any other type of powders on it unless you got dry powder extinguisher.
The detective also told me you should never use water or even flour because it could make the situation even worse. For Gato and his family, they will recover.
This house is gone. Firefighters were working throughout the night to put out the fire. The homeowner blames fireworks for the reason it caught fire. This is what it looked like when we pulled up to Sylvan Avenue in West Mifflin overnight. No one was living in the home. The owner said he actually planned on fixing it up and selling it to his daughter. At one point during the evening, firefighters had to get out and fight the fire from the outside. The fire chief isn't saying what may have caused the blaze, but the owner, he believes he knows.
There was a tree on the side back here, and the back porch is gone. And it looks like that tree must have caught the house on fire and burned up the back of the house. That's why I'm thinking fireworks from off the hill did it.
The owner tells our photographer he isn't sure if he's going to rebuild or not. As for the cause of this fire, it's still under investigation. There were records inside that home. The owner says they were very valuable, but now they're gone as well. In West Mifflin, Dave Bondi for PCNC.
This is Chloe, a 1.5-year-old Heinz 57 mix from the Western Pennsylvania Humane Society, brought here to be fostered, but instead she saved a life.
You know, everything that just happened, happened for fate, karma, higher power, all the pieces came together.
Chuck Weintraub took in Chloe about 2 months ago, caring for her after she'd been abused and neglected. But on July 3rd, Chloe returned the love and came to his rescue.
She was a traumatized dog. She was not used to people at all. And to break that trauma for her concern for me and to go 200-300 yards away and get the attention of another family and then literally draw them up here, it's just amazing.
The Brock family lives across the street and heard Chloe barking. When Michael Brock tried to put a leash on her, Chloe backed up and led him to Chuck, who had collapsed in the backyard as he was mowing the lawn.
She's a true hero in this whole story, and I think pit bulls get a tag put with them, and for this dog to muster up that courage to come and help Chuck, that just shows a love.
As luck again would have it, another neighbor who is a registered nurse heard all the commotion and rushed to help.
And Mike was over Chuck doing chest compressions, and so I said, well, and he backed off when I got there to let me help. And I says to his airway, his breathing and his circulation, he had a pulse. His airway was clear, but he was not breathing at all.
Now Chuck wears a pacemaker, and Chloe is again back by his side. He told me he and his wife will continue to foster this life-saving dog and will only give her up to the right family.
If you're interested in adopting a dog like Chloe, Chuck urges you to contact the Western Pennsylvania Humane Society. In Cranberry Township, Lori Hoy, Channel 11 News.
Driver after driver ended up doing the same thing when they got to the intersection of Route 910 and Lyndhurst Circle in Pine Township. Making a U-turn and then heading back the way they came because this section of 910 is closed for construction. It left a lot of drivers wondering the best way to get where they needed to go.
I turned this way and I ended up in a big circle, then I had to come back. So I don't know which way to go.
It's this quarter-mile stretch of 910 from Lyndhurst Circle to Pierce Mill Road that's closed. Road crews are doing bridge work here and also adding traffic lanes and traffic signals. There are signs posted letting drivers know that this section of 910 is closed, and there are also signs posted as to how to get around it. We followed the posted detour that rerouted us to North Chapel Drive onto Route 19, then to Warrendale Bain Road, which turned into Graham Road, and then to Pierce Mill Road. That detour added 7 miles to the trip and took us through another construction zone. This part of the Route 910 and Pierce Mill Road improvements is expected to wrap up in the fall. Reporting in Pine Township, I'm Brittany McGraw, Channel 11 News.
Workers here at Pierogies Plus tell me they've never been robbed before, but it happened for the first time last night. It's business as usual this morning at this popular takeout restaurant on Island Avenue. But hours earlier, police swarmed the area looking for 3 masked men with guns who entered Pierogies Plus, threatened a cook who was preparing food for the morning, and demanded money.
The cook was unable to open the safe. They actually fired a round into the safe. They were unable to open it.
Police say the gunman then ordered the cook to empty the register, which had a small amount of startup cash for the next day. Police were alerted to trouble by a silent alarm and saw the suspects in the doorway when they arrived on the scene. That's when the 3 suspects ran back into the building.
As soon as backup arrived, the officers entered the store. They learned that the suspects went downstairs and bolted through a rear window, actually jumped quite a distance down into a railroad yard where they lost the weapon.
We've also learned there is surveillance video that police are reviewing. In McKees Rocks, Lori Hoy, Channel 11 News.
This salon is a total loss. The owner told me when she showed up this morning, flames were coming through the windows and she was screaming to wake up her brand new tenant who just moved in.
The flames were put out quickly, but not fast enough. Mia Scarfone, the owner of Metamorphosis Salon and Spa on Butler Street in Lawrenceville, lost everything.
Well, I got a call from her at 2 a.m. telling me to go to the salon, the back door is open, and so I ran to the salon in my pajamas with my fiance.
Mia got the call that her building was burning and ran here in time to wake the woman living in the apartment on the 2nd floor. Salon workers salvaged what they could, everything covered in soot. But with more than $80,000 in damage, the building is a total loss. And yet this young owner isn't letting it slow her business down.
Lawrenceville is a close-knit community. Before firefighters even had these flames put out, the barber who works on this street showed up and offered to help. Since then, 3 salons in Lawrenceville also called, letting the owners here know their doors are open to them. Reported in Lawrenceville, I'm Kara Sapida, Channel 11 News.